Good afternoon. My name is Donna Fiesel, and I'm your host of Donna's Edge Talk Show, where truth matters. Thank you so much for watching every day, Monday through Friday, beginning at 1 p.m. Central as I get to ride home with you in the afternoon. You can find us on television. We are syndicated, found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire, and that's through Abundance Television. You can also find us on the podcast, thenewscasters.com, and all the social media sites. You got facebook.com/D Fiesel. You can also find us on Twitter, we. If it's social media, we're doing it. You can also send an email anytime that you'd like to. That's Donna@DonnasEdge.com, Donna@DonnasEdge.com. Remember, you actually own this show, okay? So you tell me what you would like to see. And a number of you have listened to me talk about moving. Yeah, we're still moving. So, and it's a lot to do. We're taking Mother with us, of course, and she's got a lot of stuff. She's been a collector, used to own an antique store, which means she didn't want to sell it. She wanted to keep it. So guess what? We're taking all of that stuff with us too, which is an equivalent of moving a large family. And I know a lot of you have a lot of kids. And so when you have to move, or maybe you're, blended families and you're bringing stepkids, whatever, and there is a process to it. There really is. So I'm going to go ahead and walk you through that process. And these are some things that we've been doing that has made life a lot easier, especially if it winds up falling on just two people like it has with Phil and me. So I'm going to go on ahead and I've got this. It's a wonderful website. I picked up a lot of great tips through this. It's zip2zipmoving.com. Zip is in zip code, zip2zipmoving.com, and you'll find all kinds of great information about moving, what to do, how to prepare. But I'm going to go ahead and start talking to you about some of this stuff. Large family is a blessing and a challenge. But if you have a lot of stuff, whether you're a large family or not, it can be a challenge to move. Okay, here's tip number one: start packing early. And that's what we did. We put the house out on the market. And so we started, and we sold the house in record time. It was just the perfect timing, and sold the land, sold everything, because we wanted to get back to the Carolinas to be close to my son and my daughter-in-law. And so, and we missed the Carolinas. We've lived there for about 9 years. And so we decided it was just time to go where we want to be, and that's what you need to do through life. Quit living your life for other people, you and your spouse. Okay. That's really when it all boils down to it. It's all down to you guys, you and your spouse. Make each other happy. Don't procrastinate, by the way, when it comes to packing. So what we started doing is just packing up stuff that we weren't going to be using that often. And as soon as you put your house on the market, believe me, you could put your house on the market, sell it, and buy one in the next week. It's basically what happened to us. We found the dream home. We found it. And so packing early really makes a lot of sense. So if you procrastinate, now that can be an enemy. So don't let that happen. And it brings so much anxiety in as well. But the sheer volume of belongings accumulated, you'll find things you didn't even remember you had. You really got to get started early in the process. So begin packing well in advance. At least 6 to 8 weeks is what they recommend before your scheduled moving day. This allows you ample time for sorting, decluttering, and properly packing your possessions. So let me talk about this. Overestimate your belongings. You're going to have more than you thought you had. It's better to assume too much than too little, because you don't want to run out of boxes and supplies and things like that. So open every nook and cranny, your closets, your wardrobes, your attic, your basement, your garage, everything you've got. You'll probably realize there's a lot to move and a lot to account for than you thought. And you're probably going to wind up with some things that are high valued items that you had forgotten that you had. I have found jewelry I forgot about having. Can you believe that? Oh, I'm talking nice stuff that Phil has gotten me throughout the years. And of course, I want to keep that. And, just little things like birthday cards and Christmas cards, all those things do add up. And it's just, again, there's a lot to it. And I want to make a suggestion about boxes. What we found, like I said, Mother had used to own an antique store. And so you need to really put a price and do a lot of research about the supplies, because that can cost you a small fortune too if you don't do your homework. So I went to Walmart.com, went to every social media site I could find of .com. Wound up getting, at this particular time, that may not work for you, But this particular time, we ended up getting much better on the price of the boxes through U-Haul. If you buy them in groups of, I think it was 15. And we did. So we went on ahead and got the large boxes. Now, when it comes to boxes, okay, this is old Donna right here telling you what to do. When it comes to boxes, make sure there's something that you can handle. Okay, especially as a female. Now get the bigger ones for the dudes. You know, they pick up all the big stuff. But make sure that it's manageable for you too, because if you're detracting from your husband, or if it winds up being just the two of you doing it, you're taking time away from him. So let him handle, what he can handle. You handle what you can handle. So that's what we did. Now, when I pack the boxes, because Mother has some really, really nice things, and she doesn't want to give up on any of this stuff. So what I did is, and she had a lot of clothes too. So I was using her clothes, blankets, old, and Phil's doing the same thing, old sheets, old, quilts and that kind of thing. Even the comforters off of your bed, use those and protect those by putting those in in the box. Okay, because you got to protect those precious items. What good is it if you don't protect them? You don't want to wind up breaking them, because you never know if somebody's helping you move. They're going to be throwing, even though it says caution, handle with care, glass in there. They're going to be people who help you move who are just going to be like throwing boxes around. So just that tip right there. Now, I wanted to say this. Our friends across the street from us, Roger and Mary, Mr. Roger Ritchie, they've been phenomenal. And so Phil and I came out here. Phil just happened to be sick the day that we were putting stuff in the U-Haul. And I think Raj saw it. So Raj came out here and he said, I'm not taking no for an answer. I'm going to come out there and help you guys move. Roger and Mary, thank you for being awesome neighbors. Now we're going to stay in contact with each other, okay? When we come to Bama, we're going to make sure we come and we'll all go out to eat. But I wanted to do with that. It's very special. Thank you to Roger and Mary. Thank you guys so much for everything you've done to help us. Roger Ritchie, known you a lifetime. Thank you again so much for being such a friend, guys. Absolutely appreciate it. We talked about overestimating. The reason I mentioned Roger is we had a lot of stuff, and he didn't complain. This was all out of Mother's house. So we got 2 houses to move, okay? Our stuff and Mother's stuff. Roger didn't say a word, but I knew he had to be thinking all this stuff. This is also the time to declutter. Because Mother collects. Okay, so she had a lot of clothes that I made her part with. I'm talking about stuff from the 70s and from the 80s and from the 90s. And this is the year 2025. So it was time to go ahead and do a big house cleaning. Now, this is another tip, okay, because we gave a lot of things away to Shepherd's Cove Hospice. They have a thrift shop. And wherever you live, there's one. As a matter of fact, we found out that there is a hospice center also located in Abbeville. And so when you donate your goods, I know that Shepherd's Cove Hospice of Albertville, Alabama will actually bring a truck and they will pick up items. Make sure it's not stuff that your grandmother had from the year, 2000 or whatever. Make sure it's stuff that you would still wear. You just have too much of it and you want to get rid of it. So we also went on ahead and got one of those dumpsters, and that's where most of the old clothes went. Now, I will say this. I have some leather jackets that I had back in 2000 or no, it was actually 1995 when I bought these jackets, and they still look good. And if you take care of clothes like that, they're classic. They'll never go out of style. So I'm keeping my red jacket, leather jacket, in my black. When you've seen me with these on several times on the show. So keep things like that. If you keep them, you take good care of them. Move those, but I'm talking about stuff that's no longer in style. And I'll tell you something that I know, if you're wondering about clothing, maybe it looks good and it's still kind of in style, but if you pull it apart where the seam is and you pull it apart like that and you can see the threads, it's time to get rid of it. Don't give it to Shepherd's Cove Hospice or any other organization. That needs to be thrown away, because when you give things away, it should be good things as well. Okay, now we're talking about decluttering. A family move is perfect for decluttering. The larger the family, the more important this step is. It can wind up saving you an extra truckload too, by the way. That costs money. It does that. So involve the entire family in the decluttering process. And, toys they're not using, as long as they're not collectibles. Now, I've got collectibles myself. I'll tell you, a weakness of mine is those little Happy Meals, the McDonald's toys that came in the Happy Meals. I just think they're going to be worth something one of these days. So I do have a few of those, maybe 100. So I decided I wanted to keep those. But I'm talking about toys that kids no longer play with anymore. They're torn up. Maybe the little girl was a tomboy like I was. I had a Barbie doll and I cut her hair off. I don't know why I did that, but but I do have a good one that I didn't cut the hair. But if it's something that you're no longer going to use, I mean, just get rid of it, because you don't want to think about having to buy an extra or rent an extra truck and have movers come out there when it was just stuff, I mean, that you're never going to use. Okay, decluttering, involve the whole family, hold a garage sale if you want to do that, donate unwanted things to a local charity, and that's going to lighten up the load. Now, we talked about decluttering. Let's talk about picking a date to move. That's extremely important as well. Now, although it's peak season, moving in the summer while the school is better. But every time we've ever moved, I don't know why we do this. We move in January when it's extremely cold and it's raining outside. I don't know why we pick that time. This timing minimizes disruptions to your children's academic routines and extracurricular activities. It also provides extra hands to assist with packing and unpacking, as your children will be available to help. Yeah, use your kids. Do that. Make packing a game. And do that. I do it for my own self because I'm worse than any kid when it comes to something like that. If I can make a game out of it, it's going to run smoother. By starting early, you can turn packing into a fun activity for the little ones with games such as treasure hunt, and call it speed packing. Now make sure that you handle the china and the glassware. But in speed packing, this is what happens. The children compete to fill their boxes with non-breakable belongings. And so the author of this article says, I like to reward the winners with the first choice of stickers they can decorate their own box. In treasure hunt, this is another game. The children compete in scour rooms and the rooms that have already been packed and load for abandoned items. This is a great way to perform a final sweep of the rooms before leaving the house. You don't want to leave anything behind. Now, the winner can choose a larger dessert during the drive to the new house. Now, games can keep kids engaged while encouraging them to do their own packing. Let's cut into a commercial break, and we're going to be right back in just a few minutes. Y'all hang in there, okay? We're back. Okay, we're back. My name is Donna, and I'm your host of Donna's Edge Talk Show, where truth matters. And we're talking about moving a lot of stuff. It could be just you and your spouse, or it could be a big family. We moved a lot of stuff because we're bringing Mother with us. And then, like I said before, she collected antiques and still got a bunch of them. And so that meant almost moving for like two families. It was like 3 families almost. So we've been talking about things to do to move to make life a whole lot easier for yourself. Tip number 1 was start packing early. And then overestimate your belongings is another one to talk about. Declutter, sending things to your local thrift shop or for a cause. A lot of like Shepherd's Cove Thrift Shop, what they do is they'll take your items and they resell it. And then that's how they're able to assist and help folks who are at the end of life. And so that's a really good charity right there. Okay, we're going to talk about picking a date, making packing a game. Now let's talk about tip number 2, and that's hold a family meeting so that everybody knows where you're coming from, okay? So use family meetings to maintain organization, build excitement, and boost morale, because I'm just going to tell you, I hate moving. And when we moved back to Alabama, I said, I'll never do it again. We got the opportunity to go back to the Carolinas. We moved up. This time I'm going to say no more. Okay. Now this approach fosters a sense of unity and shared responsibility. That way you can just kind of get it out to everybody what the responsibility is and just be done with it. Also address any concerns, answer questions, and involve everybody in on the planning process. Now, make the move an adventure, especially if you got kids, or if you're like a big kid like I am. Frame the move as exciting adventure, emphasizing the perspective and the positive aspects of the new location and the opportunities it presents. Now, get your kids excited. If they've got a zoo close by, or they like to go to parks, find all of those things and ride around the area, ride around the neighborhood, and let them see that. Recreational activities also. If you're moving up north, or maybe you're moving to Alabama, there's actually some skiing. I'm talking snow skiing areas. Now, it's manufactured, yes, but I hear that people go to this place all the time. It's up in Mentone, Alabama. Now, another thing that you want to do is assign roles. Now, Phil and I are both used to owning our business. He's got the stuff he does. I got the stuff I do. I find when I don't get in his face trying to help him do his stuff, things go a lot smoother. Other way around, too. If he doesn't come into my face and just let me handle what I like to do, I get things done much smoother. The way I do things is totally different from the way he does things. I'm a left-hander. I'm creative. I do everything to a rhythm. There's a process to it. I'm a very visual person. And he's a numbers kind of a guy. And he does things a lot differently than I do. So if we do the same project together, we're going to drive each other crazy. So it's best that if I can handle my part, he handles his parts. We get things done a lot easier. So let's just see what the author of this organization says right here. It's zip2zipmoving.com. You need to look that up. Delegate tasks based on each member's family's abilities. That's true. Now, older children can assist with the packing, loading, and unloading, while the younger ones can serve as babysitters for their favorite toys. So establish moving buddies to keep children together on moving day. And here are some examples that you can use. Okay, have a packing team. Okay, responsible for sorting, labeling, and packing belongings. Loading, unloading crew. Get a loading and unloading crew. Assist with carrying boxes is what they do, and furniture to and from the moving truck. Now, you're going to have some toy guardians for those little ones. Younger children can be in charge of keeping their toys and comfort items safe and accessible. Then navigation assistants, they are going to help with directions, maps, and helping find a new home. So everybody can have their thing. Now, tip number 3 is to create a detailed inventory. This is big now. A detailed inventory will save you sweat and your children's tears once you arrive at your new home. Now, children will be eager to reestablish a sense of normalcy, and I need that myself, and detailed inventory, and that can help things happen very quickly. Now, label boxes with the respective rooms and contents using a consistent labeling system. This practice streamlines the unpacking process and is going to make life a lot easier on you when you get moved back in, and minimizes the risk of misplaced or lost items. You can also have your children decorate their boxes with stickers or markers to make them more unique, and they can identify them much quicker. So this is what we did. So kitchen is a big deal. Okay, I got my kitchen gadgets and my tools and stuff like that. I'm a big kid when it comes to the kitchen. So what Phil did is he starts taking, okay, so I've got china. Now I've got 3 different sets of china. And so Phil marked the china box, And he put really soft materials in there with it. This is a good time to put like extra kitchen towels, your pot holders and stuff like that to kind of help also to make sure nothing gets broken. And then one thing that I like to do, I like if I have something heavy, let's just say I have canisters and they're kind of heavy like canisters and they've got lids to them. But if I put other items in there, like softer things, like your towels, I mentioned things like that earlier. Maybe I've got a sweater that I know I'm not going to be wearing for a couple of weeks. I'll go ahead and put that sweater in there with it. And that's just going to let it be cushioned. I'll put some sheets in there with it. So that way I don't have all heavy stuff. It's a box that I can manage and a box that I can move. And again, that comes to when you're packing your stuff. So put heavy stuff in, but now put lightweight stuff in there too. Believe me, it's going to make life a lot easier. But now on the box, I went on ahead and put on my china, I put the color it was, and I've got Christmas china too, see? And so I put Christmas china, and I put Donna's favorite sweater. So I'm going to know where I'm going to be able to find that favorite sweater because I've got the box label. Now, I like to use big old Sharpies. Some people use ink pens and whatever. But if I use a big Sharpie, I'm not going to use that box again anyway. I'm probably going to throw it in the garden and use it to keep weeds away. So I'll just go ahead and put on the big Sharpie what's on there and what's in it. Mother's Tiffany lamp. Yeah, you better believe we put a big label on that. We didn't put anything in that box, except for a big, big quilt. So that kept that safe. Okay, now here's some steps that you can help to create an effective inventory and labeling system. And I'm keeping up with what time it is because when I start talking to you, I just forget I'm on planet Earth. So what you want to do is assign a unique number or code to each room in the current home. As you pack items, create a detailed list with the following information. You want to put a box number on there. Also, you want to keep heavy boxes, lighter boxes, because if you're going to stack the boxes, you want to make sure those heavy boxes are on the bottom so that if you put a heavy box, it's going to cause the box to crash. You know that. I don't have to tell you. But that's the way you need to do that. So make sure you put H for heavy, L for lightweight. Okay. Then you want the room number or code. You want to put a brief description of the contents, special handling instructions, like it's all glassware, put glass in big letters. And I like to put the labeling on all four sides of my boxes and on top. So, and it takes a little time, but I'm just going to tell you, it makes it a lot easier. Now you can do labels. A lot of people do that. You can print them on, but I'm just telling you, if I've got my Sharpie and I see that it says glassware, Donna's Christmas dishes, I'm going to know to be careful with that one and not to bump into anything with it. Now attach a label to each box displaying the box number, the room number or code if you've got that, and a brief description of the contents. So what we did is we put Donna and Phil's room, Mother's room, and then we're going to have an extra bedroom for Brad and Larissa when they come. So we put Brad and Larissa's room up there. So we know what's going to go in each room. That's going to make life a lot easier on you in the long run. Because if you're having to look for stuff, did I put it in that box? Or did I put it in that box? Did I put that in the box that should have went in the living room, but I put it in Mother's bedroom box? It'll take me forever to find it. Attach a label to the box. Okay, now use different colored labels if you'd like to, or markers to distinguish boxes containing fragile items or those that will need to be unpacked first. And now, this is what we did. So we found a really, really good price buying bulk with those plastic boxes. And they're heavy duty. I mean, they're going to last through time. Probably roaches in these boxes are going to be around if something happens to planet Earth. Which I'm not expecting that, but just in case it were to happen. So Mother has the big heavy duty cardboard boxes. And then she also has a different color. I have the clear boxes and the pink ones. Well, she's got the blue boxes. So we know if she's looking for something color coded, she goes right to the blue boxes. That's going to be hers. Okay. So she's not going to have to look through a bunch of my stuff, even though she's got much more stuff than I do. She's not going to have to look through all of my stuff to find her stuff. It will be in her color blue boxes. So that's how we got that distinguished. Now, this gives you kind of an idea right here. Consider creating a digital inventory list by using a spreadsheet or an app that can be easily updated. And by the way, you can get these apps for free of charge. So they're not going to cost you anything. Now, here's what your inventory could look like. Box number 1 And you could code it BR1. That's got your bedding and your pillows and your curtains. And you could put that it's fragile. Could have a lamp in it if it's a big enough box. Now, number 2, KIT for kitchen. Okay, BR1 was for the first bedroom. KIT for kitchen, but your pots and your pans, your kitchens, utilities, and heavy. Now, I've got a lot of the see-through boxes that I like. And so it's going to, especially because I'm a cook, I'm the one that cooks. And of course, Phil does too, but for the most part, kitchen's mine. Okay, nobody goes in there but me. So I've got my clear boxes that I can see through, and I can see my pots and pans. And that was a huge help for me. Okay, now box number 3 could be BR2, bedroom number 2. It could be labeled John's favorite toys. You want to unpack that one first. Believe me, if it's for the kids, that one goes first. Now, tip number 4, we're going to get into that. And this is show number 1, so we're going to have show number 2 coming up. But pack your children's essentials separately when moving with kids. Clearly marked containers, items such as their favorite toys, their books, their comfort objects should be easily accessible boxes or designated areas. Let me do something here with my timer real quick. I'm going to say cancel, and we're going to say start it right back up again. There we go. That's going. All right. This will help you entertain them and care for them during the move. It can also reassure children to maintain sight and awareness of the things they love, which is going to be reducing stress, okay, for you and them. Now, this will help you to entertain them. This is what you want to do. You want to create a separate essentials box, and this or a bag for each child, and containing the following items. Okay, this is essential. Okay. Their favorite stuffed toy or dolls, beloved books and games, because they're going to need to feel something, especially if it's a small child, they want to feel something familiar. You might want to think about doing this for your pets as well. You want to keep portable electronics. Make sure you got the chargers now, because nothing's going to be worse than the battery going down. You can do your tablets, maybe handheld gaming devices, etc., that kind of thing. Okay, coloring books and crayons or markers, snacks and drinks. Okay, make sure you do that. And I know everybody wants to throw a candy bar at them, but you do nuts and stuff like that, because it's going to be protein going into the little bodies, and they're not going to be near as worn out. And keep some of that protein for you too. Okay, change of clothes and pajamas, toiletries like the toothbrush, the hairbrush, and that kind of thing. And make sure you do that. Okay. All right, involve your children in the packing process by allowing them to decorate, pack, and personalize their essential boxes. Now, this will give them a sense of ownership and makes the boxes more recognizable to them, right? That's how you do it. Okay, tip number 5, you want to pre-plan meals for moving week. You got to make sure you do that. So finding time for meal preparation on moving day can be difficult. So plan ahead by stocking up on non-perishable snacks, preparing freezer-friendly meals in advance, or budgeting for takeout or restaurant meals. So everybody who knows me and you've ever watched any of my shows, you know that I like to cook in advance. And I will, like spaghetti. Okay, I'll make a big pot of it. We're not going to eat a whole big pot of spaghetti, but you know what? I'm going to divide that up and put it into good freezer bags, okay? Flatten it out. And then I'm going to have that handy when we move. If I don't want to go out to eat and I don't want to take the time to go to a drive-thru or anything like that, I can heat it up in the microwave just as easy. And then I'm done. So I want you to think about that, about having food in the process and having it ready. Snack crackers for the kids, chips, whatever. Just make sure that you've got everything designated, because, I mean, you watch those commercials on television, it's like a Snickers commercial and somebody's a diva when they're normally not a diva, but then they get their Snickers bar and they're okay then after they eat that. Think of the divas in your family, okay, who are going to be hungry. So make sure you got that covered. Okay, let's talk about food prep. Okay, prep and freeze meals in advance, or enlist help of friends or family members to provide ready-to-eat dishes during the moving week. Now, the meals leading up to and during your move can be grand opportunities to say goodbye to friends and save money on moving day. Now, follow these steps for successful meal planning. Make a list of your family's favorite freezer-friendly child-friendly meals. That could be like casseroles, soups, stews, especially if you move in the wintertime, like we always seem to do. Number 2, prepare and portion these meals into individual servings or family-sized portions, just whatever works best. Label each container with the dish name, the date of the preparation, and reheating instructions. You can even add your children's names to avoid confusion. This person likes salt, this one hates salt. This person likes mustard, this one hates it. So this one likes mayonnaise, this one doesn't. You get my gist. Okay, that way everybody's going to be happy. Stock up on non-perishable snacks like your granola bars, trail mixes, and crackers. Let's do this. And I forgot to do it last week. So Phil loves Chex Mix. If I give him a gallon-sized bag of Chex Mix, he's going to be happy and he's going to be putty in my hands. He's going to agree to everything I say. And I forgot to do that last week. Need I say more? But I'm going to make sure I'm doing it this week. Okay, prepare and portion the meals. Again, either individual servings. Kids like their own little individual bags. So you might want to, have the little bags for them. That keeps them happy. Okay, stock up on non-perishable snacks. Pack a cooler with drinks. That's extremely important. Make sure you got plenty of water because you do get dehydrated. Colas, Kool-Aid, whatever you like to drink, your teas, those kinds of things. Sandwiches and perishable items for moving day. Okay, designate a special box or a bag for essential kitchen items. You got to make sure you got utensils. Okay, nothing's worse than having soup, and I don't got my soup spoon, and I'm going to be a big baby about it. Okay, plates, cups, etc., to make reheating and serving meals a whole lot easier. Okay, now by taking the time to plan and prepare the meals in advance, you can keep your family well nourished and energized throughout the moving process without the added stress of meal planning and preparation during an already hectic time. Keynote here is if you will do this. Okay, in the winter months, for moving in the winter like we did, have soups and stuff like that. Chili's always good. Have chili dogs. It doesn't take long to do stuff like that. But have the chili done up and have it frozen in individual bags. And have it in a container for that, okay? Now, in the summertime, it's going to be hot outside, right? Especially if you're from the South like we are, and it is hot. I'm talking humid. Don't do soup. Do sandwiches, anything that's going to be cooling the person's body temperature down, okay? It's going to get ill and grouchy when you're too hot. So make sure don't do soups and stuff like that. Spaghetti would be good, though. Just heat that up and eat spaghetti. You'd be good. Now, tip number 6, and I think this is a wonderful tip right here. Hire a babysitter. Why are you not hiring a babysitter? You're asking for trouble. Okay, so depending on their age, children can require constant supervision and attention, and some adults. So if needed, hire a babysitter or ask a trusted family member or friend to keep the kids entertained during the move. It's going to make life a lot easier. This approach allows the adults to focus on the aspects of the relocation without worrying about kids' safety or well-being. You're going to have so many. I'm thinking of Home Alone, where they take the trip and she didn't count all the kids and they got one left at home. And then the trip is just ruined. It's almost like that. Okay, if the kids are taken care of, you don't have to worry about them. You just have a much smoother process. Okay, activities. Provide a babysitter, by the way, with a list of activities. Because she doesn't know your kids or he doesn't know your kids like you do. And games, things like that, and toys to keep the children engaged. Now, make sure that you introduce the babysitter to the children beforehand if it's somebody they don't know. That just builds rapport, okay? And make sure it's somebody that likes kids, by the way. Don't send some grouch out. Also, snacks and meals. Make sure that the babysitter has access to child-friendly snacks and meals. Who doesn't like those little goldfish? I still like them. And provide a budget for ordering food if they have to do that. First aid, they're going to skin their little knees. And if it's someone who's never really taken care of kids before, it's going to seem like the end of the world if a child skins the knee. Whereas when our kids get older, we don't worry so much about things like that. But first aid, find a babysitter that has basic first aid knowledge. If they don't, make sure you send them plenty of YouTube videos. That's out there now. Regardless of your approach, absolutely having dedicated family child supervision will allow you to focus on the logistical aspects of the move, knowing your children are safe and entertained and well cared for. Now, I'm going to go on ahead and start on tip number 7. and that's use professional movers. Kinda. Okay, I'm going to go into that in just a few minutes before we go into a break. Okay, so while it's always tempting to save money, hiring professional movers can alleviate a significant amount of stress and physical strain. Not only will you be free to watch the kids, but professional movers handle and pack the truck with care. So make sure that you look for reputable moving companies, and make sure they've got the expertise and the equipment to safely transport your belongings by minimizing the risk of damage and injury. If you've got, by the way, if you've got a baby grand piano, make sure you're up front with them about the baby grand piano. And especially if it's an antique like I have. Okay, this thing's made out of oak. I'm not going to call just regular Joe to ask him to move my piano. It means too much to me. They've got the equipment. They'll charge more for it, I promise you. But they're going to have the equipment and the expertise to be able to move that baby grand piano. Mine it's easy to take apart, but it's heavy. So what you do, and it's a little tip, I've seen them do this. So what they'll do is your baby grand piano is like this. They're going to move it upside down. Okay, it's going to be kind of sideways, not upside down, but sideways. They're going to take the legs off of it. You got your 3 legs. So they're going to take those screw off. And they got this equipment they can use. They're going to move it, and it looks, I don't know, this guy from Charlotte, North Carolina, moving our baby grand piano. And these guys were not heavy guys. They were kind of thin built. 2 guys moved that baby grand piano, but it was the straps they used. See, they got the equipment to do it with. Don't break your back moving a baby grand piano. It's not worth it. That is something we always have hired done. Okay, by hiring a reputable company, this is what you're going to do. You're going to reduce the risk of physical pain. You don't want to get your back out. If you get your back out, you can't do anything else. And then you're constantly going to the doctor about it. It's going to wind up costing you a whole lot more money. So be really careful there. Reduce the risk of physical strain for you and your family. Rest assured your belongings are properly handled and protected. Benefit from the mover's expertise in packing and loading techniques. They know what they're doing. That's what they're doing. Okay. All right. Focus on other aspects of the move, such as coordinating utilities. That's a big thing. And watching the kids and settling into your new home. While hiring you can be a higher cost to do that. The peace of mind and reduced stress is going to just make life just a whole lot more easier on you. Now let's talk about zip to zip moving. Customizable services, and this is when you're moving, say, from one town to another town. And I know where you're coming from, okay? One thing that we did, okay, now this is when we're actually closing out. Okay, so we buy the house. We had a great attorney, by the way. He was giving us tips on what we needed to do. He asked if you're over 65, and we both are, so we're over 65. And he was telling us the prospects of how we can save on our, let me get my thing started there again. Okay, there we go. All right. So he was giving us ideas on how to save money on taxes. And he was telling, because I'm just telling you, every state and every county can be different within your state as well. So he knew how to do that. He knew how to go ahead and work with a process where you're paying less. Okay. So the first thing he said we need to do is go to the courthouse. Make sure that you've got time you can do that you can go to the courthouse if you need to do that. And make sure that you get everything aligned. So, and then this is another thing. The first time I ever moved in my entire lifetime, I was such a dummy about it. Okay. So the first thing I did, I thought, well, I want to turn my power off, because I know it's going to be my last day. Mistake. Don't turn your power off until you get completely moved into the other house. I'm just telling you, because things can happen. And you won't be ready for it. Okay. So just make sure that you have everything turned off after the move. But make sure when you move to the new house, the power, the water, all those utilities are on before you move. Okay, because they can run into an issue there. So I almost forgot about the water. You got to have water for cleaning, right? Anywhere I have ever moved, ever in the history of not ever moving, I cleaned my mess up. Then I had to go clean somebody else's mess up too. That's what we had to do this past time. So that takes up a lot of time too. So you're going to have water. And if you want to save on hotel rooms, bring one bed at least, okay? So that everybody can pile into that bed, and everybody, you and the kids and all of you, because I promise you, you're going to be so tired, you're not going to care. If you don't find a babysitter, they're all going to pile in there with you. And now, if you're having carpets cleaned, okay, so we wanted to have everything done, you know, and there's some nice carpets in there, and there's also some nice hardwood floors as well, but they were a bit messy. So hiring a carpet cleaner is extremely, using somebody like ServPro is a good thing to do. Now it costs a lot, but it's also going to save you a lot. Okay, so it's going to wind up being the thing to do. So carpets had to be cleaned, even though they're in good shape, still had to be cleaned. I wanted them clean. I wanted them smelling good, especially if a smoker has lived in that house before. I didn't smell any cigarette smoke, so thank God for that. If you're going to do any painting, if you can do it, do the painting before you move the furniture in. Now, we had to figure out, what are we going to do? Okay, if we're going to clean the carpets up, I got that baby grand piano. It's one thing. Now, I've been known to move furniture. Phil has come home before, and I would have the den moved in different ways. And I can move a couch or a chair. I can do stuff like that. I can move tables, but I can't move the baby grand. Wherever that baby grand is, that's where it's going to stay until we die. I mean, it's just the way it's going to be. So Phil and I were talking about this. He said, you know what? We need to tackle, where do you want the baby grand to go? I said, I want it to go in the living room, because that's where I'm going to hang. And it's going to be a good area. It's got those big windows, and I want to look out the window while I'm playing piano. So the thing is, I like to play. And he said, well, then we're going to have to go with the living room first, or the den first. So we'll get the carpet cleaned first. That's important. Just in case, what if something came up? So what if something comes up and you can't get the walls painted? You're painting the walls. You got one or the other. So what if something came up? And I said, well, I guess it would be better to have the carpet done first. That way we can go ahead and I can always move furniture back. Not the baby grand, it's stationary. Okay, it's where it's going to be. But the carpet's got to be cleaned first. That way it gives them time to dry. And then we're going to paint, because believe me, he's a professional when it comes to painting. And so make sure you got all the necessary tools if you're going to paint as well. That's extremely important. Something else about painting is that frogs tape is worth it. Okay. And it's not sticky messy. I have used tape before where, you would paint the molding and you get a pretty white, and it's done. You let that dry. Then when you let that dry, you put regular tape. Now, I'm not talking about frog tape. And they're not paying me to say this. I'm just saying get frogs tape. Then my pretty white, where it's been painting all the way around the room, I go ahead and I put like regular tape up there. I don't get frogs tape. And I paint the walls, and they look good. Then guess what? It's all done. I take the tape off. Some of my white comes off with my molding. Then I got to do touch up. Pay just a little bit more. It's not that much more expensive, and get frogs tape. It comes in green. I think they make it in blue now too. And so I've got that up there. I don't have to worry about it. I got it painted. I got it just right. And by the way, do what you think, well, whatever you want to do first. I don't like to do the molding, and I don't like to do that. I'd rather just get me a roller brush and I'm done in no time. But what I like to do first, I want to do the edges and the corners and get all that stuff done. If I can get that licked and I can get that done, it takes me just a few minutes. And I'm totally done with painting the wall. I just get it done. Whatever. And that's just my personality. And you might want to do what you like first and then do what you don't want to do. I don't like doing the trim. So I'm going to do the trim first. And then I'm going to paint the rest of the wall. And I just feel like it looks that good. And by the way, if you've never painted a wall before, I remember the very, very first time that I painted a wall, and I'm going to bed thinking, this looks terrible. I mean, this is just you could see, and it's the way it dries. Have some patience, okay? When I woke up the next morning, I was like, did somebody else come here and paint this? Because it doesn't look anything like it looked last night when I left the wall. Have patience, let it dry. And another thing about painting, if you'll use kilts, especially if you're going from a dark room, let's just say somebody loved red and that wall was just bright red. I love red too, but not my walls. But I like to use neutral colors. But let's say you're painting a red wall, but you want it to be a neutral color. If you'll put kilts on it and then paint it white or whatever neutral color you're coming with, you're going to have a prettier wall. And have time now. Let that kilts dry. That's another thing. See, I don't have patience. So what we're going to do is assembly style. So when we go this coming week, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and do the kilts on whatever that needs to be done first. And then we're going to let it dry overnight. It's worth it. And then the next day, we're going to go ahead and paint the rest of it. But we're going to do assembly style. So we'll just tackle, and the whole house is going to have to be painted. Yeah. But it's a good thing I like to paint. So it feels so, we'll just hire somebody to paint. And I said, no, I actually like to paint. I mean, I like to. And it's so funny. It's one thing. Now, paint costs more than it used to. But one thing that you can do on paint is whatever you paint, it's just going to look tremendous. I mean, it's just going to change the whole outlook to the whole thing. And I'll tell you something that I would not have done a long time ago. And this house was built in the 1970s. And you remember what was popular in the 1970s? Paneling. So I looked at the kitchen, and this couple had painted. I didn't think I'd like it. So what they did it the right way. I can imagine they probably used kilts over it. So it has this kind of nautical look to it that I'm digging for my kitchen. So I'm actually thinking about something new in there because I'm going to paint a different color. She painted, in the 1990s, they had yellow, so she painted it yellow, and I'm sure it looked great and I loved yellow back then, but I'm going with a light grayish looking color. Now, painting kitchen cabinets. Some people, the reason they paint kitchen cabinets is because the kitchen cabinets that they have, they're in great shape. I mean, they look good. They're not falling off the doors, not falling off the hinges. They're made good. They're not pressed board. They're real wood like they used to do back in the day. I mean, really, back in the day, they made good cabinets. And so it'll be like wood. But now, if your grandmother was anything like my grandmother used shellac and stuff on every single thing. She would use that old English furniture, on everything. Well, the problem is after a few years, there is a buildup. So I'll tell you something that I found that works for that is you can get it at the Dollar Tree, and it's called Totally Awesome. $1.25. It doesn't cost much at all. That stuff will get rid of any kind of grit and grime on anything. So I thought I was going to paint the cabinets, so I thought, well, they're probably, the wood's good. I want to keep that. I don't want, and they're set up exactly like I like them. So, and that's going to save probably about $30,000 if I wanted to get new cabinets. And I said, no, these will look great. I said, they're in great shape there. They're not falling off the hinges, nothing like that's happening. I said, but I just want to clean them because I want to paint them. Well, I went on ahead and I thought that I was going to have to paint them. Now, I like painted cabinets. I like white. And then I like a, different color down the bottom. But I got that awesome. And I put it on there. And I had grease marks and stuff from years of cooking. And so I sprayed the cabinets really good. And then I use the cloth. Now, I don't use paper towels or anything like that. I save old cloths just for things like this. And that I can throw away. And so I went on ahead and I used the cloth, and that stuff started coming off. It's got that wood looks good. Now, I may still paint something. I'm not sure what I'm going to do, but I'm just telling you, the Totally Awesome, if you use that on kitchen cabinets and maybe your grandma, you've inherited your grandmother's kitchen or whatever, like we had to take my grandmother's old English off. That stuff works. Now, you may want to do a test area first, just make you feel good about it. But I just went on ahead and just did an entire door. And when I cleaned that off, I yelled for Phil to come in there. So Phil comes in there and I said, I ain't painting these cabinets. Look at that. And again, you could just see all the richness of that wood. It's kind of a light color wood. And I said, with all the big windows we got in here, I don't have to paint. I'm just going to clean the cabinets. So that's going to save me a lot of time as well. So long story short, I'm just telling you, there are so many things that you can do to make life a whole lot easier. I thought that the wood on the kitchen floors is hardwood. I thought the wood was in rough shape. Phil cleaned the floors. I'm not going to have to do a thing to them either. Sometimes just a little bit of elbow grease getting in there can help save you a lot of time and a lot of effort and a lot of money as well. And I'll tell you something else. There's a lot of glass there. And I found something that works to clean glass really, really good. Now, Windex, don't go for the store brands. Now, you know Donna likes to save money. Everybody who knows me knows that. But I'm just telling you, when it comes to saving money, get your Windex because that really is the best glass cleaner. But I like to use newspapers. So if you've been saving newspapers, we don't get the newspaper, but I know people that have them, and I've had them saving newspapers for me. Don't use the ones that have the wax coating on them. That's not going to clean it. It's going to have to be like magazines, things like that, that don't have a coating on the paper. So that paper towels work pretty good as well. But I'm just telling you, the paper towels will kind of leave this like dust kind of on it. So I like using newspapers when I clean my glass. And that does basically all the work for me. But cleaning glass will also do a lot. Now, another thing that I've done is you're going ahead and you spray, get your Windex on there. If you'll let it set for just a couple of minutes and then spray it again, you'll find that that takes a lot of the work off. And also, you know, these little I don't know what you call them. I think they're paint scrapers. Okay, if you'll use them, make sure you got a fresh new blade in it. Phil, you need to go check. Okay, I think he's doing it anyway. I just heard the doorbell. Okay, so if you'll use those paint scrapers, that also helps. It's going to eliminate. I'm just trying to save you time and money because when you move, oh my goodness, those expenses can get up there. You got your mover, you got your glass cleaner, whatever you've got. Now we decided there was a carpet cleaner. And make sure you check with your local hardware stores, your Ace Hardware, because let me tell you something. We have a carpet cleaner. And I said, well, you know, the cleaners and stuff for this stuff cost a fortune right now. Now I'm talking about in Abbeville, South Carolina. There's a local Ace Hardware there. And so I found this carpet cleaner, regular price was $26, I think. It had it on sale for $3. I got almost everything they had. So there's a lot of carpet in that house. Making things friendly. Let's talk about this just for a minute. I like music. I'm not into bro country, and I like the original traditional country, and I like rock from the 70s. I don't like rap. I like contemporary gospel. I like stuff like that, those kinds of music. But you want to be in a good mood. Make sure you got some good fast mood music on while you're working. And maybe something to take you back to the day. Like if it's you and your sweetheart and you're moving, get some of your favorite songs. You can put everything on your cell phone nowadays. You don't even have to have a radio blasting or anything like that. But on our Roku channel, I found an easy listening 70s, and it plays some good stuff. I'm talking Creedence Clearwater Revival, the Bee Gees, and all of those. And you can find your favorite music on any Roku channel. All you got to do is just do a little bit of search. And so we had that rocking while we were moving stuff. So Phil and I were kind of dancing a little bit. And I'm the dancer. He doesn't like to dance, but I made him dance. So anyway, that'll take some fun too. So just make it a fun adventure for moving. I know nobody likes to. I don't. I'm just in. But think about a month from now. And that's the way I'm doing it. I'm thinking a month from now, everything's going to be in place. And it's got to be a month from now because, again, I'm going to go outside and I'm going to garden as well. So it's got to be done before the gardening starts. So we're making a fun thing out of it. And again, if you got any kids, it's worth having a babysitter and let them handle it so you can go ahead and get your things done and get things done in a timely fashion. Now, we don't want Mother to lift a finger. So Mother hasn't done anything. We've done all the packing. We've done everything. So she's going to stay with my brother and his wife, Joey, while we are doing the final stages of moving. And she's almost like a kid herself. But anyway, so we didn't want her to lift a finger, not to do anything. We've done everything for her. So if you've got family members who can help, that would be great. We just don't have any that will. So Phil and I wound up doing the whole thing. But anyway, that will help make life a whole lot easier for you. I'll tell you, I promise you, in the long run. Thank you so much for watching Donna's Edge. I hope this helped. It was an hour show, but I just hope that it helped you. And it's just things that we've done the wrong way, the hard way through the past, and we're doing it the easier way now, and it's making it a lot more enjoyable. But thank you so much for watching. Continue. You can find us, by the way, on the website, and that's donnasedge.com. You can find us on television syndicated on Abundance Television, found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. And don't forget the podcast on thenewscasters.com. You take care.